Welcome to the Suspense Files on the Sister Speak Show. The Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Sister spiritual inspiration shared through the arts. Sister spiritual inspiration shared through a yana that you better call me Sister Speak. The Suspense Files, covering the who, what, when, where, why, and urban crime, deadly relationships, mystery, obsession, kidnapping, infidelity, murder, unsolved cold cases, all within the elements of the Suspense Files. Tonight's episode on the Suspense Files, the residents of evil, the nightmare nurse. To my first-time listeners, welcome. To my faithful listeners, thank you for listening. In totality, welcome to everybody. The Sister Speak Show is rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. It's 9:52 a.m. I'm recording from Dallas, Texas. It's about 67 degrees. And right about now, it's time that we get into the suspense of tonight's episode. To my first-time listeners, you will need two things. This is for your good. It's for your safety. It's for your stability. You're going to need this. We wouldn't want you to fall when you run. Listen, you're going to need water. It's your gas. How can you go if you have no gas? And the last thing we would ever want when we're in a situation where we have to get away is to find out that there's no gas in the car. You're an easy victim for whatever is coming after you. If they chase you and you can't get away, that makes you a victim. You're going to need scuba gear. We dive deep. You know that they do hide bodies in the ocean, don't you? Lakes, rivers. Okay, so we go to places that other people have a fear of going into. Not all, but just some. Tonight's episode, we all can relate to. Oh yes, we can. We most definitely can. A nurse? A nightmare nurse? Nightmares are terrifying. They are the opposite of a good night's rest. It leaves you frazzled. It provides a lot of anxiety and the energy of panicking, paranoia. The nightmare nurse, the residents of evil. Oh, we're going to get into it because you and I know what it is to encounter a nurse, but others haven't encountered the nightmare nurse. Everybody, let's get our water and drink now, before it's too late. We have to be 10 steps ahead of the enemy. And the last thing that you want somebody to do is check your pulse to see if you're alive, because the residents of evil will be assisting the doctor today. So let's drink up and good vibrations and high energy to all listening. We return to center all negative energy, all demonic activity and satanic activity. Satanic energy. We don't have time for it. As a matter of fact, somebody's running out of time now because the nurse that you hired has a faulty background, a sinister background, body bags. Every time the nurse comes around, patients mysteriously get sick and some die, moving from state to state. Is anybody on her or his trail? Who's next? Who will encounter the nightmare nurse? There's more than one. Oh yes. There's a nightmare nurse in every state, city, nursing home, assisted living facility, in your family, mine. Why did they go to school to become a nurse? What's their fascination with blood, pain, control, power? Is it money? What is the underlying psychosis of the nightmare nurse? The last thing I need if I'm sick, wounded, and needing care is to have the residents of evil in my presence. The last thing we want is the flatline. Ooh. Urban crime is real. You had no idea that Keisha was with the shit. That she was a cold-blooded killer. You had no idea that Dante was manhandling patients and abusing his power. You had no idea. The nightmare nurse is just not a she. It's a they. It's a them. It's a he and a she. Remember what I said. They're everywhere. Every city, every state. Every other city we go, we see the same. Fill in the blanks. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. You are listening to the Suspense Files. I'm your hostess to speak. I'm grateful to converse with you. We're going to get into it. Be careful before you book your next doctor's appointment. You don't know who that nurse is. Brotherhood, sisterhood, leadership. Those are the qualities that you were looking for when you were joining, not humiliation. The latest episode of The Culture Climate on the Sister Speak show is available on demand now. Rated R for strong content, language, and thoughts on this episode. Death before degree, hazing in fraternities and sororities. On The Culture Climate, we're covering what others are afraid to cover in the village, including controversial conversations, taboo subject matters, addressing the inner me's, exposing the enemies, interviews, audio from video clips, international, national, local news affecting the village. Click the link for the latest episode. On the Sister Speak show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action, a talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Remember, you don't have to die to belong. Murder, mystery, intrigue, suspense, all of the elements that make up the Suspense Files on the Sister Speak show. And the latest episode is available on demand now. On this episode, Expelled. No one will tell
Murder in the student body. On the Suspense Files, we are covering the who, what, when, where, why in urban crime. From deadly relationships to urban cold cases and more. For all shades of brown people, this episode is rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. It's time to click the link and podcast and chill with the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. If no one tells, someone may get away with murder. Are you going to let that happen? We'll see.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Suspense Files on the Sister Speak Show. I'm your host, Sister Speak. Some, not all, are nightmare nurses. Let's just clear that out the way for the lily pads. What's a lily pad? A lily pad is someone who does not want the truth to come out. They don't like exposure. They're always causing chaos and confusion to try to divert those who are light workers from being on their journey and addressing matters of the heart and such. They don't want you to pick up garbage and put it in the garbage can. They hate the fact that you say that litter is litter. They want you to say that litter is really cotton candy. They do not want you to be for the village. They are anti-village. Solve a mystery? How dare you? How dare you be for the village? That's what the lily pad is. They are the agents of darkness. They work for Beelzebub. Okay? Okay. And so when the light workers get on their journey and are on assignment, the lily pads are always trying to protest and organize and blacklist people from their freedom of speech. The problem is, they don't realize that they're already defeated and that they have not one dog in this fight. Let's get it, let's go. Here you are, believing that all is well with this nurse. And for 50%, everything is fine. But the other 50% made the news, went to jail, were fired, and are on the run. For what? For doing the unthinkables, the unethicals, breaching contracts, violating the right to care, abusing their power, overdosing on purpose, not administering medicines. Wait a minute now, I have this on Do Not Disturb. Okay, no I don't. Excuse me, you all. Administering the wrong medicine. Smiling in your face, but ooh-wee. You think you see some pearly whites, but those are piranha teeth. Yeah, those are the teeth of jackals, hyenas. Yes, laughing like a hyena, sounding like the Wicked Witch of wherever. These nurses go around torturing humans in the village, outside of the village. Their mission is to seek, kill, and destroy. They are the dark one. And if you don't know it already, but I'm sure you do because my listening audience is wise. But let's just understand this. Crazy people who are mentally ill, insane, sinister, wicked, low vibrating, demons, goblins, they hide behind professions that give them a good look. They use their professions as a beard, a cover-up. Not Jonathan, not Susie, not Keisha, not Decarie. No, how could it be? They're so narcissistic in front of us. That's why we've been fooled. They do such a great job of covering up. I am going to have to dig into this more because I just don't believe what you're saying. No, they do such a good job of covering up what you're accusing them of doing. Right. I mean, this is what they do. They're not trying to get caught. So of course they have to cover it up. They don't want you on their trail. They don't need to be fired because if they get fired, how can they murder patients? How can they continue on in their schizophrenic vibration? They can't destroy anybody if you figure them out. So they're not going to blow their own whistle. Not at all. So they're smiling, they're kind, they're sweet. They're just so too perfect. And they've got the 3Ds, those who have no type of discernment, fooled. That's how they keep making these news clips because they finally got caught. Some of them got caught right away, but they finally got caught. But the thing about it is, they are relying on the naive and those who don't discern, the trusting, the ones who believe all is good and there's no way that this could happen to us in our town, and we are petrified at this point because we leave our doors and windows unlocked. Heck, that's what we do. See, those are the communities that they go into. They go into your communities because of the lack of discernment. And there they set up shop to abuse their medical certifications and exact whatever vengeance they choose to exact for whatever is going on underneath. Because there is a reason why they do this. Do not ever think there isn't. Yes, it's evil, but what produced this evil? What was the environment that created this potion? Now, not all environments were low vibrating that some of these nightmare nurses were raised in. But yet and still, there is an underlying psychosis. There is a problem. There is a trauma that would make anybody pull the plug on a patient that we have entrusted in your care. The family has entrusted, like everybody is counting on you to do what you said you do. They're not counting on having to go on any type of news segment or any type of mystery documentary or go to an investigative journalist to find out, detective, these whole procedures because of you, because you have violated, you're no good. Just because you have a lollipop in your pocket doesn't make you great. It makes you even more covert in your attempts to be a nightmare nurse. So these clips tonight, listen, y'all. When I get into the vibe, the time zone, the time frame, it just slips. These clips that you're going to be listening to are for educational purposes only, for entertainment purposes, but more so to raise awareness about the plethora of nightmare nurses that exist and how many right now are operating under this low vibration of pretending to be who they're not. And there are patients who will succumb to their wicked thoughts and actions if we don't continue to raise awareness. The vibrations that we need in the village in order to discern these type of nurses is imperative. It is a prerequisite in order to run these witches out. Now listen, we go to the doctor. Well, we know nowadays with everything going on, we kind of like, ooh, I'll do a FaceTime visit. But hear what I'm saying. We all have gone to the doctor, the hospital. We've been checked on, excuse me, by a nurse. We have encountered nurses that are with the shit, that are really with the shit, and we had no idea. Me included now, me included. You know, especially when you're a child, you're like, la, 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 give me a lollipop. Can I get a Band-Aid with, Snoopy on it? But understand this. The bodies that they have as a result of being a nightmare is what many miss when they're in the la 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 stage. Because you would never think that a nurse would be a nightmare. What's a nightmare? You've had them. You've woken up from them. You've even said, oh, I just had a nightmare. And you know what they consist of. Terrifying, dark thoughts, where you are up against it, heart racing, anxiety, paranoia, panicking, being chased, being pursued, being haunted, seeing things that aren't normal. Yeah, a nightmare where you wake up in a cold sweat, where you're screaming, talking in your sleep, tossing and turning as you're being tormented, terrified, tickled by demonic principalities and entities. Oh yeah, you know what a nightmare is. You know, where you don't want to sleep with your foot hanging over the bed because you think something's underneath your bed. Even though you're grown, you still think something's underneath your bed. You know, nightmare where you run across the room to turn the light on. Nightmare where you're not going in the basement by yourself, daytime or nighttime. Nightmares where you think somebody's following you. You just feel this presence. You've had sleep paralysis. Can't scream, can't move, can't run, but you feel this dark, heavy presence. You can feel it on your chest. It's sitting on the end of your bed. You can't see it, but you can feel it. You've seen demons before. Some of you who have these dreams, because I know I'm not the only one, you have the gift of prophecy. You have prophetic dreams, visions, clairvoyant. You know what I'm talking about. See, we are the ones that they like to call crazy because they don't receive the downloads, they're not in tune spiritually, and the Lord isn't really about to deal with anybody who's unbelieving, low vibrating in that capacity for the rest of your life. So we know what we have seen. We know what we have encountered. This ain't a game. This ain't a joke. Demons are real. And demons are possessing some of these nightmare nurses. You know what a nightmare is. You hire your nurse to come and help you rehabilitate. Next thing you know, you're fighting for your life because this nurse has a vendetta that started from the time he or she were 5 years old. Because some doctor or some medical staff created a problem that resulted in maybe a father or a mother or a grandfather or a boyfriend, whatever, passing away. And now there's a whole vendetta that you're going to feel the pain that I feel, starting with this injection that I'm not supposed to give you, that's going to put you in a vegetative state. And it's going to slowly eat away at your body because I'm on a warpath, because I'm a nightmare nurse. Oh yeah, I'm not the real one that they sent. Now, I killed the one that was assigned to your home. I wanted you for myself. I'm here to do everything wrong and nothing right. In a minute, You're going to wish that you had never gotten into that car accident, needing rehabilitation. I'm going to give you the nightmare of your life. That's the thought pattern of the nightmare nurse. He or she is on the prowl. Oh, how terrifying a nightmare is. Makes you not want to go to sleep again. Makes you not want to close your eyes. Is it going to happen again? The wrong medicine. Filling out prescriptions. Failing to give proper care. Physical abuse. At the hands of a nurse who promised and actually went to school to do right, but instead went to school just to get the certification to do wrong. Brothers and sisters, you are listening to the Suspense Files, the who, what, when, where, why in urban crime. Are you a nurse? What type of nurse are you? Are you the type of nurse that actually does the right thing? Or are you sneaky, cunning, wicked? What are you doing with those files? Why do you have that prescription pad? Why is it that you know how to emulate the signature of the doctor who you work for? What's the real reason why you're doing in-home care? You don't really care about the elderly. You just want what they have. Sinister. Sinister. How is it that you're the nurse, but now you're the beneficiary of the life insurance policy? The nightmare nurse preys on those who are alone and vulnerable, seeking those who have no support, no advocate, those who are easily intimidated and not too swift with contemporary means to cry out for help. You have a target audience to do your damage. Oh, but you forgot that someone sits high and looks low. They see your every move. Yes, the Most High sees you and knows everything. That's why these clips are available tonight. You do get caught. The nightmare, it ends for one family, some families, a community. And it's still going on, but guess what? You don't escape, physically or spiritually. When the nightmare nurse starts to have nightmares, then you'll know it's real. All right, brothers and sisters, let's get into these clips for educational purposes only. According to the Fair Use Act of 1976, Section 107. Let's learn. It's important that we make sure that when you hit that button for the nurse, that it's not the nightmare nurse who answers your call for distress. Be careful. She just might pull the plug. The residents of evil. The nightmare nurse.
Arrested and charged with murder just as she was about to board a plane to leave the country. She's accused of killing a Queen's baby by putting the child in a bathtub filled with water that was too hot. CBS 2's Valerie Castro has the story.
I don't get into the shower by checking the water. Nobody does.
Corey Brock is an angry and grieving father after the death of his 23-month-old daughter, Naomi. Police say the baby died of thermal-related injuries after she was placed inside a bathtub with scalding water. The Queens District Attorney's Office, citing the criminal complaint, says the child had injuries consistent with her having been submerged up to her waist in 130-degree water for approximately 30 seconds. Wednesday morning, police took 54-year-old Oluyemisi Adebayo into custody at JFK Airport as she was about to board a flight headed for Africa. The licensed nurse practitioner is now accused of causing Naomi's death.
She claimed it was a mistake. She claimed she checked the water. It's impossible. If she checked the water, she would have been burnt also.
Brock says knowing Adebayo was caught at the airport says a lot.
She knows what she did. That's why she was trying to flee the country.
Naomi's mother was still too upset to speak to us on camera, but says her baby was born several weeks prematurely and had to breathe through a tracheotomy.
She had her own struggles that she survived. And this right here was not from her nature. Totally unnecessary.
Now the woman charged with caring for the girl is charged with murder.
She's supposed to be trained and certified for all these years. My daughter's kid was in her hands.
Adebayo is scheduled to be arraigned here at Queens Criminal Court tomorrow morning. A conviction of second-degree murder carries a sentence of 25 years to life. In Queens, I'm Valerie Castro, CBS 2 News.
Ken, and thanks for watching.
Investigators dropped a bombshell today in the case of a woman shot dead and her newborn kidnapped. They revealed the bizarre motive of the woman who allegedly opened fire.
Now let's get you up to date on what we know right now. The suspect there, Verna McLean, is charged with capital murder. We're told the 30-year-old nurse who used the very same pediatric clinic as Kayla Golden acted alone.
Authorities say McLean was supposed to get married next month and that she recently had a miscarriage but told her fiancé she had delivered the baby. They say that she needed to steal a baby to cover up that lie.
And we have 3 reporters working this story. Kevin Reese has the latest from investigators at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office.
And the victim's family graciously spoke with our Sherry Williams and revealed an unusual connection between the suspect and victim.
But first, let's go live to Spring and Courtney Zabowski with the suspect's family right now. Courtney?
Yeah, Len and Greg, we just spoke to Verna McLean's mother and grandmother. They are distraught, can't understand what's happened, and they say that they are so sad for the family of little Keegan. Now, first, let's go over what we know so far about Verna McLean. We know that she moved to Houston about a couple of years ago. She had been living in San Diego. She separated from her husband, and they have at least 2 children together. And she moved to Houston with those children to be closer to her parents, and that's who she has been spending time with. Now, investigators say she just had a miscarriage, and she admitted to them that she went after little Keegan so that she could prove to her fiancé that she had his baby. Verna McLean is a licensed vocational nurse. She works for a staffing company, and sometimes her mom told me that she works in homes privately for those homeowners. She did never work at the Northwoods Pediatric Hospital. Now, again, her mother and grandmother say she is not a monster. She just snapped. Let's hear from them.
I don't know what's going on. That's not my kid. But I'm sorry for the family. That's all I can say, ma'am. This is my mother's house.
Can you tell me about your daughter and how the kids are doing?
They are distraught.
They're distraught.
And how they doing?
People want to hear this. If you could.
Now, obviously, a lot of tears shed during that interview. That mother and grandmother who don't want to use their names, they're just trying to figure out how this happened because they say that this is not like Verna McLean. I'm Courtney Zabowski, KHOU 11 News.
Month in Phoenix. When a woman in a vegetative state gave birth to a baby boy, police began investigating. Police arrested 36-year-old Nathan Sutherland, a licensed practical nurse who was caring for the woman at Hacienda Healthcare Facility. He was identified in part thanks to DNA technology. The woman's family say they are outraged for what they called abuse of their daughter, but made it clear that the baby would be loved and cared for.
We can't always choose how we come into this life, but what we can choose to do as a community is love this child. And that's what we have the opportunity to do. And I'm pleased to say that the baby, I am told, is doing quite well.
Sutherland is charged with sexual assault and vulnerable adult abuse and is being held on a $500,000 cash bond.
Robinson, the teen, marched out of his Florida clinic in handcuffs.
Malachi, they say you've been practicing medicine without a license.
Sitting down with ABC News overnight, released from jail early Wednesday morning on a $21,000 bail after being busted in a sting operation in West Palm Beach, caught allegedly giving a medical exam to an undercover officer. Were you a doctor of anything? Anything at all?
I do currently hold a PhD. In what I don't feel comfortable disclosing because that is not the issue here.
But you
the
treat
issue
people
that
at your
I
office
face now is accusations.
The 18-year-old indeed facing serious accusations from police, 7, including grand theft, and allegedly practicing medicine without a license. And last month, he proudly showed off his medical center to our affiliate, WPFB.
This is the New Birthing Life Medical Center.
But peel back the tape, and the sign on the door has his name and these 2 crucial letters, MD.
That sign on the door was actually due to be changed. There are many types of degrees out there that hold the title as doctor, whether they are a physicist or an engineer. Just because someone has the title doctor in front of their name does not necessarily imply MD.
Have you had training?
I have. I have shadowed many doctors.
You're saying your training comprises shadowing other doctors, real doctors. That's your training in medicine.
Your training comprises of a lot of things.
But you weren't in med school.
Exactly. So I am not portraying as an MD. I've never said that I've gone to school to be a MD.
But the teen who goes by Dr. Love does advertise an array of treatments on his medical center website, including phototherapy, food and air therapy, and naturopathy.
I have been studying this particular field for a while. May not have been 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, but it has been long enough to, I would say, justify what I do.
Including apparently treating the elderly. In a criminal complaint, an 86-year-old woman said he recently treated her for severe stomach pain, paying him nearly $3,500. What services did you provide in exchange for that money?
I can tell you this. Accusations are merely accusations, and services you'd have to define that. Whether she paid for me to just show up, that's up to her.
You're not denying the fact that she paid you $3,500 or so, correct?
No, I am denying that.
Are you a fraud? Because it seems like everything you're saying to me is either evasive or an outright lie.
I don't appreciate your tone. I don't appreciate the way you're portraying this interview to actually be.
And then a moment we didn't expect. Are you in big trouble? I mean, it seems like you've spoken to a lawyer who's prepared you to talk not only to the media, but the police as well.
I don't know where you're receiving this information from, but it is inaccurate. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut this interview short. I'm going to have to cut this interview short.
And in fact, he did, walking out the door. Now, we have a standing offer to Malachi to finish that interview. The teen has not yet been arraigned, but insisted throughout the interview he has done nothing wrong. He has also said that when all this clears up, he intends to open another clinic. Amy, George?
Matt, we always appreciate your time.
Man, they say impregnated a woman.
Crime is now assaulting our communities. Hialeah police detectives say Naomi Hernandez managed to steal over $17,000 in a scheme to defraud elderly and sick victims she was caring for as a home health aide.
She would actually fill those blank checks out to her name and her boyfriend's name and then deposit it in her account.
Hernandez allegedly made deposits at 2 Wells Fargo branches in Hialeah, and Wednesday morning she was in bond court.
Where you're charged with exploitation of an elderly or disabled adult, organized fraud.
Detectives say Hernandez confessed to stealing money from 2 of her elderly clients. Hernandez was working for a company called Maximum Health Care.
She confessed to stealing from the elderly. In addition, she also confessed to reaching out to the victims during our investigation and trying to pay them off so that they wouldn't proceed forward with our criminal investigation.
And detectives say she also told them there are additional victims out there, but didn't give them any more information to find them. Detectives want the public to be aware of these types of crimes that prey on elderly and disabled people in our communities.
Please do not give them access to your finances. It's against the law and against the policy of many of these companies. If you have been a victim of this type of crime or any crime similar to this in nature, please reach out
So, ma'am, I'm reading a stay-away order from the victims whose initials are JV and CC.
Hernandez paid her bond and is now out of jail pending her trial. And right now, this is an ongoing investigation. So if you believe you've been a victim of this crime, you can call Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS and give them any information to help detectives. In Hialeah, I'm Claudia Tocampo, NBC 6 News.
Team exclusive. Explosive news in the tragic death of Bobby Christina Brown.
The Fox 5 I-Team has learned a woman who treated Bobby Christina Brown for a month in hospice care illegally posed as a nurse.
Yeah, that's according to the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office and the Duluth Police Department. And tonight, that woman is in jail charged with impersonating a nurse.
Our Fox 5 I-Team senior reporter Dale Russell here now with this exclusive story. And Dale, what else have you uncovered?
Russ, this thing has been developing all day long, and it's really unusual. Investigators in 2 different counties believe Taiwu Sobamawa used another nurse's license number who had a similar name to get hired by a hospice care company. And once hired, police say the woman who wasn't a nurse took care of one of the nation's most high-profile patients during her final days. In September, Forsyth County Sheriff's Detective Jeffrey Rowe received an unusual tip that Taiwu Sobamawa was impersonating a nurse at a Forsyth County hospice care facility, something she had been accused of doing before, according to this District of Columbia alert. What's the worst part of someone posing as a medical professional falsely?
From my perspective, it's the violation of the trust. And to me, personally, that's the worst part about it.
Rowe obtained a warrant for her arrest. Now, you didn't arrest her here. How'd they get her?
We received information that she had fled the state from her residence here in the state of Georgia to the state of North Carolina.
Sobamawa was arrested in North Carolina and booked into jail. But the story doesn't end there. During his investigation, Detective Rowe learned that Sobamawa worked at Peachtree Christian Hospice in Duluth, Georgia. That's the same hospice that treated Bobby Christina Brown during her final days before she died this summer.
Taiwu Sobamawa had provided services at that facility, yes, sir.
At that facility being Peachtree Christian Hospice?
Yes, sir.
And Taiwu Sobamawa was arrested Sunday on impersonating a nurse. And today, throughout the day, Forsyth Sheriff's Office charged her with 2 felony counts of identity theft and forgery. And then Duluth Police, late this evening, filed charges against her for impersonating a nurse. Now, Homestead Hospice and Palliative Care, which hired Sobamawa, said it was shocked and dismayed to learn the news. They immediately terminated her and alerted the state nursing board. Russ, Sine?
So is there any suggestion, Dale, that Sobamawa did this specifically to try to get close to Bobby Christina Brown because of her celebrity?
Yeah, that's the first thing we thought when we first heard this, but according to investigators, as of right now, they don't believe so. She has actually been suspected of doing this in 2 other states prior to this time. It's a high-paid, well-paid position that she worked her way into. And it's amazing when you think about it. Here she was caring for somebody who everyone across this country was following this story and following this care. And here's this woman right in the middle of it.
I'm sure they'll also be investigating whether she had any possible ties to the photos that were linked of Bobby Christina in her final days.
You know, we don't know anything about that yet, Sine, but that's obviously going to be a question that I think as this investigation ongoes, people are going to be asking.
I bet they will. All right. Thank you so much, Dale.
Earlier this week at a local nursing home shows just how vulnerable the elderly can be. All new tonight at 5, our Ryan Raish talks to an expert with tips on what you need to know to make sure your loved ones don't fall victim to this type of crime.
The elderly are the most delicate in society, and they also happen to be the most vulnerable.
They are a very easy target.
Case in point, this week the Polk County Sheriff's Office arrested Kathy McLean. She worked as a nurse at Brandy Wynn Healthcare Center in Winter Haven. Deputies say she stole the Social Security numbers, birth dates, and other personal information from more than 80 patients at the nursing home. Investigators say then she sold the info to Derail Bess, who then plugged the data into TurboTax online and tricked it into sending him thousands of dollars in refund money. The nurse has since been fired, and police say there's no evidence the facility knew what was going on. The administrator was not available for comment, but families were.
Yes, it does worry me. It's a shame these people confined in this place and they stealing from them.
and I don't think that's right. It may not be right, but it's nothing new. Alice O'Reilly, president of Volunteers in Service to the Elderly, known as VISTA, says there are several ways to protect yourself.
Make sure that you have someone appointed that you can trust, that's your power of attorney. And then that way, as your health deteriorates, you've got somebody looking out for you.
And if you are in a caregiver role, here's what you need to know. First, don't allow a nursing home to manage your loved one's finances. Secondly, visit often and keep in constant contact. And to really be in the know, check your loved one's credit report.
It is so frightening to think that it was so easy for this to take place.
Ryan Raish, ABC Action News.
An 11 Alive investigation that sparked anger all over the United States.
Yeah, DeKalb County Grand Jury has now indicted 2 nurses and a nursing aide in connection with an elderly veteran's death. The indictments include felony murder and neglect charges.
The hidden camera video of Mr. Dempsey's calls for help being ignored reached more than 5 million people online, many of you expressing outrage and calling for the nurses seen in the video to face criminal charges. Tonight, law enforcement are crediting 11 Alive investigator Andy Parati for uncovering the hidden video that has proven to be so crucial in this case. And Andy, that video remains very, very difficult to watch. We talk about it all the time. It is at the center of all of this, but still it doesn't make it any easier to witness.
It certainly doesn't. The nursing home tried to stop 11 Alive from airing the video in November, even attempting to appeal to the state's highest court. Now, 3 women seen in the video ignoring the patient's cries for help face criminal charges in connection with his death. 89-year-old James Dempsey desperately wanted to live, but 3 nursing home staff working the night he stopped breathing are repeatedly seen ignoring him and laughing when he needed help the most. It happened at Northeast Atlanta Health and Rehabilitation Center in 2014. This week, a DeKalb County grand jury indicted 2 nurses and a nursing aide in connection with his death. Police opened an investigation into his death after 11 Alive uncovered hidden camera video of the incident and video depositions of the nurses changing their stories. Former nurse Lois Agaman of Snellville, seen in the green, is charged with felony murder and neglect to an elder person. Wanda Knuckles of Buford, also a nurse, is charged with depriving an elder person of essential services.
Until the time the paramedics arrive, were you giving CPR continuously? Yes.
Hidden camera video forced Knuckles to change her story.
And contrary to the way you testified previously, there's no one doing CPR, is there? No.
And Mabel Turman, a certified nursing assistant from College Park, is also charged with neglect to an elder person.
And instead of performing CPR in an attempt to save his life, you're changing the pillow sheet. Pillow cover.
All 3 women also face a single count related to concealing Mr. Dempsey's death. Following their indictments, grand jury warrants were issued for their arrests. We're still waiting to hear back from the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office to see if any arrests have been made.
Any response from the nursing home? Any at all?
We have reached out repeatedly. No response yet. And that nursing assistant, who's now faced with 2 criminal charges, she still has her state certification.
Now, these indictments all came following Andy's original investigation, failing Mr. Dempsey. You can go to 11alive.com to see the hidden camera video and to watch the original story. You can also read the full indictment there. All you have to do is look for the story on the homepage.
Nurse is also under arrest, accused of making threats to kill Vice President Kamala Harris. Local 10 News reporter Syra Onwer is live with the details on this one. Syra.
So, Christy, this woman faces federal charges for those threats, but we spoke to her mother. She says her daughter is troubled and did not mean what she said. Neve Ann Petit Phelps of Miami Gardens reportedly sent several videos to her husband, who is in prison, threatening to kill Vice President Kamala Harris and claiming that she isn't, quote, really black.
My name is Neve Ann Petit Phelps.
Phelps's family members confirm she's shown in this social media video from last year, encouraging people to vote for then county mayoral candidate Steve Bovo. Federal authorities say Phelps practiced at a gun range and recently applied for a concealed weapons permit. Local 10 spoke with her mother, who says the family actually votes Democrat.
I don't know where this thing coming from. vote for Joe Biden.
Herodia Pettit says she doesn't even believe her daughter owns a gun.
Family never know about the gun.
She says she thinks her daughter believed former President Trump would have gotten her husband out of jail had he won the election. The mother going on to ask the president and VP to forgive her daughter.
Because my daughter don't mean it.
Jackson releasing this statement saying, quote, Phelps had been employed at Jackson Health System since 2001. In the last couple of years, she worked as a licensed practical nurse at the Ambulatory Care Center West. She has been suspended without pay while we process her employment termination. So threatening a government official is a felony under federal law. So if convicted, this woman faces 5 years in federal prison. That's the latest live from Jackson Memorial Hospital tonight. Syra Onwer, Local 10 News.
Serious allegations. Syra, thanks a lot for...
Certified nurse's assistant now faces second-degree murder charges. A grand jury yesterday indicted 20-year-old Kasim Williams in the death of 32-year-old Virgil Page. The Buffalo man was shot to death in broad daylight on 19th Street back in June.
A Miami nurse is also under arrest, accused of making threats. This video is difficult to watch. A Warren nursing home worker manhandling a 91-year-old resident as a security camera rolls. This happened at the Advantage Living Center on 12 Mile near Hoover. As our Priya Mann reports, that worker is off the job and facing charges.
Macomb County prosecutors are going after a nursing home worker in Warren after an elderly woman was viciously assaulted, and the whole thing was caught on camera.
She's being muscled around, pushed around in her wheelchair. She tries to move. They put the other chairs behind her so she can't move.
The abuse didn't stop there. The man was also recorded holding the 91-year-old victim by the back of her neck, forcing her face down repeatedly. Prosecutors say at some point she hit her head, leaving a gash on her forehead.
Where she's striking the desk is not on the camera, but where he's grabbing her and pushing her head down, and then very soon thereafter, she's got a tissue to her forehead, and you can see the scratch on her forehead, and then the defendant actually puts a Band-Aid on the forehead.
But the cover-up didn't work. Her injury raised suspicion, and one day after the assault, Advanced Living Centers in Warren called police.
Someone noticed the Band-Aid, found out how it happened, they reviewed the video, and called the police.
64-year-old Ronald Fletcher was arrested and charged with vulnerable adult abuse. Prosecutors say the licensed practical nurse had only been working at the Warren facility for 3 weeks, and nothing came up during a background check.
You can check someone's background all you want, but you never know what's lurking in their heart. And in this case, obviously this is a bad fit to have this guy here, but they didn't know it until this happened.
Fletcher was briefly suspended and then fired from Advanced Living Centers. The 91-year-old grandmother is recovering.
Who knows what else may have happened there? That luckily we have video of this incident and got him out of there before we get any more complaints about something worse.
Did release a statement. They say we're currently in the middle of our internal investigation and working collaboratively with the local police department and the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Advantage Living Centers remains committed to continuing to provide high-quality care and treatment to the residents and families we have the privilege to serve. Now, Fletcher faces 2 years behind bars. He'll be back in court later this month. Reporting live, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
Very disturbing, Priya. Thank you.
4th Avenue Jail ends up behind bars herself. NCSO exposing an affair with an inmate who has a violent criminal history.
And it begs the question, what would drive a person to break the law in this way? ABC 15's Noelani Graff is digging into this story for some new insight for us tonight. Nohe?
So, most of us think of someone in jail, we picture the bars, clear line, right? For someone to cross that line, psychiatrists tell me it takes a mix of two kinds of people, the easy emotional target and the manipulator.
Nursing scrubs traded in for jailhouse stripes.
Giving contraband to a prisoner, it is a Class 2 felony.
The sheriff's office says while working as a nurse in the 4th Avenue jail, LaTanya Hickbottom met Ramon Cummings and a seedy affair unfolded.
The inmate that she had a romance with at least had naked photos of the nurse.
Deputies found them searching Cummings' cell. Hickbottom had been passing the pics through another inmate when he'd come for medical help. Deputies also started eavesdropping on Cummings' calls. On the other end, Hickbottom.
She gave those photos to a cellmate or a pod mate, somebody that was also in that housing when he was in medical getting treatment. Then he took those photos back to the inmate.
You have to wonder, what was she thinking? Who would fall for a convict?
That vulnerability
overrides and clouds the ability to see the right and wrong.
Psychiatrist Dr. Michael Yazinski says you can't rationalize it. With a rap sheet of sex assault, gang activity, once accused of murder, Cummings fits a profile that fits right into this too.
It always requires someone with the ability to manipulate as well as to see the vulnerability in somebody else.
Cummings did get his way. She funded his commissary account, agreed to smuggle in drugs, and that's where Dr. Yazinski says it can get dangerous. They not only cross the line, they can lose sight of it altogether.
Typically, it comes to them getting caught. It's very rare that they would stop on their own.
Detectives did search Hickbottom for drugs. She was clean. Today, a judge released her. She's back in court in 2 weeks. Stephen Stephanie.
No hate.
The latest episode of The Laugh Line on the Sister Speak Show is available on demand now. On this episode, can you take the heat? The origin of the comedy roast. Do some jokes go too far? Plus, naturally funny, Desi Banks, and on tour again, must-see comedians. On The Laugh Line, we are covering all aspects of comedy for all shades of brown people. You will not be disappointed. This episode is rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. It's time to what? Podcast and chill with the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action, a talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Click the link in the bio for this episode. It's time to get lit, laugh, learn, and live. What's the point of putting on a bonnet if it's not going to stay on my head? I'm tired of it slipping off and waking up to it the next day. There has to be a better bonnet for me that's stylish and stays on. Oh, child. Ooh, it's the pillow for me. I'm just going to have to sleep pretty. This last shift took me all the way out. I'm going to get a bonnet tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm going to ask Mommy if I can get one for my bear, too. Just as soon as I wake up from my nap. It's time to sleep pretty and protected with these stylish Mommy and Me bonnets available now at KKLachey.com. These Mommy and Me bonnets are available in stock and ready for you to maintain your crown. KK Lachey is a look, feel, and vibe. You're able to shop these products and more when you go to the website. It's time to shop and chill with KKLachey.com. Welcome back. Hold on, let me turn this down. Welcome back. You are listening to the Suspense Files on the Sister Speak Show, covering the who, what, when, where, why in urban crime. Brothers and sisters, the wolves in the background represent the nightmare nurse. The nightmare nurse is male and female. You heard the clips. You heard each and every one of those clips for educational purposes only, to raise awareness of the betrayal that occurs when it comes to being the nightmare nurse. It makes no rhyme or reason why these incidents occur. It has to be something that we don't see. The unseen has to be ruling them. The unseen, the dark unseen, the sinister unseen, the low vibrating gutter unseen. The infestation of insanity. Malachi, you were impersonating a doctor at 18. You had a full-blown practice. I can't even call you by your name. Your name is Dante Hauser. Not Dookie, Dante. Dante Hauser? What's going on? As our dear friend T.K. Kirkland says, who raised you? What's going on? You had a full-fledged practice deceiving people, and people were coming to you. for care. In trusting that, literally trusting you with their information, filling out, you had a whole practice. You are a nightmare. You were a nightmare. And you plan on opening up more practices? Dante Hauser, I don't think that's what you need to do. I think you need to go to a practice that's already open, and it needs to be a, hold on 1 second. I had to pause. My neighbors were walking by, having a conversation that was TMI. Anyways, opening up a practice, people filling out their information. Now you have it, and you think that you're going to go and open up a practice. As I was saying, you need to go to a practice that's already open, but it has to be one for mental health, and it needs to be one where you are a patient and not the practitioner. Please don't be anybody's PCP, primary care physician. You literally need to have somebody talk to you, because I'm not mad at the work ethic, but I am mad at the sinister vibes that are coming from you, because in your mind, you don't feel like you did anything wrong. And that's where we have a disconnect, because I wouldn't want any of my family members or anybody who I care for. First of all, when I say family members, I don't mean anybody I'm related to blood, except for a couple people, but I'm speaking about the tribe that the Lord has blessed me with. I don't want them coming to your clinic thinking that you're legit and you're not, over here praising you. Oh yeah, young black doctor, boop, 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 boop. And the next thing you know, no, you're on the news and your name is Malachi. Like Children of the Corn Malachi. A nightmare. I don't know anybody who saw Children of the Corn and was like, well, when we go on our next road trip, we need to make sure there's no cornfields on any trek of this journey. There's no way that we can. I saw Children of the Corn yesterday, and number one, I don't want to ever eat corn again. I don't want popcorn. I don't want sweet corn. I don't want corn on the cob. I don't want anything. No, I don't want to be corny. I don't even want corns on my toes. I don't have anything to do with corn. What? Malachi. Who's Malachi? Well, I really wouldn't want to recommend you watching this movie, but I'm just going to tell you. If you see Children of the Corn, you're going to find out who Malachi is. And that's on you, baby. That's on you. So anybody with the name of Malachi outside of the book of Malachi, Dr. Malachi Johnson will see you now. Who? Malachi. No. Where are we again? This is Nebraska, cornfields. Nah. I'm cool. I love it. No problem in Nebraska, but I'm just telling you, we're not doing the cornfields. Malachi. You cannot open up a practice if you are not certified to do so. And when you do that, you are a nightmare to a community and to any individual who falls prey to your sinister plot to have a practice that was not predestined for you to have. That's wicked and that's premeditated. And that causes a problem. And it leaves a stench in the medical field for those who do practice high, not low. I want every sister to hear me and hear me well. Every brother as well. Listen and listen good. You went to school for a reason, because you wanted to have a nursing job that would help you get benefits, whether you're a single mother or not. You wanted to take this job so you could do better in life. You knew that this was your opportunity to level up. But instead, some of you took this opportunity to level down and live your worst life. And as a matter of fact, you're going to take some victims with you so they can end up being in their worst condition ever, because you never had any intentions to administer proper care. Was it worth smuggling in the drugs and the contraband? Was it worth all those times that you went to school, the hours and just all of the struggle that can come along with going to school? Was it worth it for this nigga right here? This nigga right here, nigga? This nigga right here? Was it worth it? Was it even worth it for a second to even engage in a relationship with this man? He's incarcerated for a reason. And I'm wondering, were you the one behind bars or was he the one behind bars? Because at the beginning of the day, where does it get you to feel like you owe somebody your life? This isn't Golgotha. You don't have the power to sacrifice yourself in that manner. It's reckless endangerment for your own livelihood. To engage with somebody from behind bars, I don't know what the intrigue is or the mystery is behind marrying a man in prison, behind putting your life on pause for a man in prison. And I'm talking about, excuse me, what I'm saying is, why would you engage with somebody who gives more than likely, not all, but we know, yes, the innocent are incarcerated, but we're talking about the real deal Holyfield here, who doesn't give a fuck about rules and conduct and authority and was able to manipulate you out of your position. Damn it. That's a crime within itself. That's what we're talking about, the who, what, when, where, why. Well, why? Why did you do it? What was it? These are the elements: manipulation, deceit, betrayal, witchcraft. Okay, sinister influences that want to alter your GPS and have you literally forsaking your entire livelihood just for their temporary satisfaction. Still able to act like a street nigga in jail. My question to you, nightmare nurse, is, are you still a street female? What was your true purpose for even getting caught up in this industry? Was it so you could help those who get incarcerated? Were you, what is your position in all of this? Because you're there as a nurse for the inmates, not to gain a relationship. Oh, I know where he gonna be at every day. You thought that this was a for sure thing. When will sisters stop thinking that because you have a relationship, or you, listen, I'm not talking about you're with somebody and he went to jail. That's still a conversation, understand. But I'm speaking about sisters who go online and specifically date men in jail on purpose. Because in your insecure world, you believe that you are safe from him cheating on you. He'll be loyal, faithful. You always know where he is. And you're able to keep tabs on him. This is how you boost your self-esteem, by marrying a man in prison. I know somebody like that. That's all she marries is men in prison. Quite insecure. And a phony and a fraud. So as a nurse in prison, is it worth you becoming a nightmare, not only to this prison, but to yourself in the community? Is it worth then going to jail too? Was that his whole plot? People do like to see other people suffer. People will do some crazy things to make you feel what they're feeling. And as a nurse, you should be able to tell when somebody's not feeling well. You dig? You, as a nurse, should have the discernment to know that something's not right with this person. I mean, you work with patients all day. You're around affliction. You've studied affliction. You study symptoms, signs, and you learn how to administer the panaceas that are necessary in order to help this patient get better. So you do know how to identify someone when they're sick. And the thing about it is, as women, as sisters, as brothers, I'm not a brother, but for the brothers, you know, we are dealing with people who have a fever. And it's not for the flavor of a Pringle. We are, and some of them have jungle fever, but we're talking about they have a fever. They don't feel well. And we already know that there are some colds that are contagious, that you can catch what somebody else has if you're too close to them, if you're in their proximity, if you touch what they touch, that these germs travel. The energy travels. So in the energy traveling, as a nurse, wouldn't you agree that it's best to protect yourself from those who are under the weather? So then, since you do agree with that, unless you're a lily pad, why again are you, as in your position, lowering yourself to vibrate with someone who doesn't feel well and is sick, in fact has the flu? Oh, we will move on, but we're going to hit on this point because I'm saying something. And this is the Speak Show at all. This is the network. Listen to what I'm saying to you. What is the intrigue and what is the security in dealing with a man, choosing to deal with a man incarcerated when you are on the outside free? And then working on the inside, and then thinking that by doing these things, you will somehow be crowned ride or die 2021. Oh, she a true one. Then you take nude photos of yourself and you send them, you give them to him, and he passes the Dutchie on the left-hand side. And you didn't think he was going to pass the Dutchie. You thought he was just going to take the Dutchie to the face. You thought for sure that this was a solo smoke. Oh, he going to take this blunt to the face. He ain't finna pass the blunt. He's not a social smoker. The hell he is. Oh, he's a social smoker. No, honey. Trust, believe this. Your pictures are in rotation. Who's next? I didn't get a chance to hit. Here, hit that shit. Where you get this shit from? Shit, down the hallway? Oh, that's what's her name? Facts. Big facts. You need to listen to some of my previous episodes where we talk about these things. You don't need to be sending any nudes. This is not a game. You can trust no one with your nudes. Understand me. Yes, I can. Lily pad? No, you cannot. I don't know where the fuck you get these yes I cans from, but woo-wee, these are empty yes I cans. There's nothing in your can of yes I can. Sending your nudes will have your whole life compromised. That is a private moment. Every time you expose yourself, it's a private moment that does not need to be shared, because in this day and age with this energy, we all know that photos leak. I don't understand. You ain't gonna show them to nobody, are you? Nah, girl, I ain't these sucker ass niggas out here. I ain't that tight, nah, baby. The first time a man asks you, man, send me a picture. Nope, red flag. Fuck you. I'm not. For what? For what? Oh man, I'm just saying, send me a bikini shot. For what, porn star? For what, pervert? For what? No, that's a red flag. That's a black flag with a skull on it. For why? So Sister Speak can end up doing a news clip about you and how she had to pop off on. Now, I'm not sending any nudes because I don't trust not a nan nigga. And you shouldn't either, sister. Moving forward. Do we not think that we don't reap what we sow? I want to ask the bitter black sisters who occupy these jobs as nurses, who made these news clips tonight But you are a representation of many bitter black nurses who run through this world. Just want to ask you, when the fuck are you going to retire and get your old, stinking, miserable ass, relaxer having ass, out of here? When are you going to stop hobbling to work, being low vibrating, and then not doing your job, and then having people suffer at the hands of your apathy? You are scum, and you know you are, and you are in the village, so I'm telling you, you're scum, and you have to be picked up, and you have to be put in the trash. There has to be some type of understanding that your miserable ass is not welcomed in the village. If you ain't gonna change, get the fuck out. Okay? Go off the grid. We need all of you low vibrating ass women who are in the village. I'm serious as hell because I have encountered you bitter ass nurses. I have firsthand encountered how low vibrating you can be, how mean you can be, how evil you can be, how negligent you can be. I know all about it. So I'm telling you, why the fuck, I'm not telling you, I'm asking you, why the fuck are you in the medical field? Huh? Why? So we can keep doing more news segments? So I can keep covering the suspense files, talking about this type of behavior? At some point, I would like to say, you know what? This is the last episode of the suspense files. Why? Because my people are vibrating high, and they have chosen to rebuke their allegiance to the devil. People ain't got time to be laid up in bed, to be fighting not only an affliction, but your raggedy ass, your miserable ass. You have a relaxer. That says a lot. What are you saying, Sister Speak? Whoa, 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 nothing. You might as well click off now. You might as well click off now. I told you. Rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. You can listen to any other show that's going to stroke you. But we don't stroke over here. We call elephants, elephants. We call lions, lions. And we call relaxers, relaxers. So, medical assistant, nurse, nightmare nurse. You're a nightmare because your attitude sucks. You're a nightmare because you have to sit here and wear this mask and have only just, you give just a little bit of inkling of courtesy so you don't lose your job. But the rest of the 99% Hagatha, you're with the shit. And you're not doing a good job. So why the fuck do you keep coming to work? Because you want everybody to feel your misery and pain. Why? When you were younger, you didn't get the proper medical care that you needed, so now you're on a rampage to make sure that other people could feel your pain because mama didn't have it, daddy didn't have it, and you were just living in poverty. What is the fucking problem today? What is going on with you? Out of control. Didn't know you were being videotaped. Didn't give a fuck about the videotape. Lied all the way until the videotape was played. And then that's when the shame hit you. It never had to get that fucking far. You have a job to do. Do it. And if you're not going to do it, quit, nigga. And quit now. Let me tell you something about the spirit of beat ass. You're going to run across the right family member. And they're going to walk your ass like a dog. Because you're the nightmare nurse, the residence of evil. That's who you are. Everybody don't play that. There comes a time where the whistle gets blown. There comes a time where the nightmare nurse is caught. You can write as many checks as you want to, you're going to get caught. Befriending people who are vulnerable, who do not have family, insight, coming into their home and taking care of them. Everything has been changed and switched over to you, and then mysteriously, they die. That's a true story. I know about somebody who befriended somebody, and moved in, and she pretended like she was a nurse and took care of this person, got this person to sign over his life insurance policy, and she gained about $300,000. He had family, but they weren't as attentive as they needed to be, and she doesn't have that money today. She's back on crack harder than ever. And she is a witch. The entire family is a coven of witches. So they prey on the elderly. They prey on the sick. They prey on people. They use witchcraft in order to do it. And then they gain money. They like to do slip and falls. These people are predators. Watch out, I'm telling you. And they love to hide behind religion. Oh, yes. They know how to holler with the best of them, fall out with the best of them, speak fake tongues with the best of them. They are completely a nightmare of wicked, low-vibrating entities. And that's what you're dealing with when we are dealing with the nightmare nurse. These are low-vibrating entities that seek whom they may devour. They have been sent by the Dark One. They are unhealed. There is trauma, obviously, and they are on a warpath. A warpath. And the problem is that there are some who do escape, some who are on the run. You could be living next door to one right now and have no idea. Yeah, she's out in her medical scrubs, but you don't know what she's up to. You can buy medical scrubs at Walmart. Anybody can say that they're an assistant, a nurse, and literally not have 1 ounce of credential besides spraying a little peroxide and putting on a Band-Aid. They don't know anything about any type of care, and you'll find out in a couple of minutes, days, in a month. Pretending. I mean, the apparel is right there. And they go into these homes and they come under the guise of being in-home care, private. And next thing you know, you're fighting for your life. Your finances are drained. Because the nightmare nurse is in town. There comes a time where you have to ask for discernment. Because otherwise, you could let this person into your home and not know. They could be that good with their act. I'm talking about sociopath. I mean, that good to where you had no idea. That's why discernment is crucial. Because without discernment, you are eligible to be vulnerable in a victim. Because they are that good with their act. You would never know because it's a slow kill. It's a slow attack. It's a slow ambush. It's an ambush, but it's a slow ambush. It's stalking the prey. It's learning this victim. It's not something where they just knock on your door and say, "Hey, do you need some help?" No, they are literally professionals at what they do. It's unprofessional what they do, but they're professionals at being unprofessional and sinister. So we need to be careful. Our loved ones, the ones who are near and dear to us, we need to really make sure that we are keeping our eyes and our ears open because the nightmare nurse is real. We can't stop people from applying and going through the schools to obtain their certification to become a nurse, their degrees. We can't. But what we can do is do these return to senders and remain vigilant, as I mentioned, towards these predatory ways that have been existing for some time. These nurses go way back, you all. Way back. I've been watching, excuse me. I was watching documentaries, and in the 1800s, wicked nurses, nightmare nurses, just terrorizing villages and homes and people, coming in and pretending to care, but always injecting the patient with the wrong drugs, overdosing, just a lot of various ways of killing. And this is something that, as I mentioned, has been going on for a long time. Long time. That's why I said you just have to be vigilant. You have to be careful. You have to let them know, no, I'll blow this motherfucker up. Excuse my language. I'll blow this shit up if I catch an inch of some bullshit. You have to let them know, oh, okay, she's not the one. For real. And obviously neither are you, okay? Because you're playing nurse. That's something that you fucking do when you're a kid. Are you a child? You're playing nurse. You're not even a real fucking nurse. Yes, I am. Here's my credential. I can't tell because your credential's in your actions, not in the paper. Yeah, this is the Sister Speak show. You don't want this smoke. You don't want this fire. I do because it's good sparring practice. You don't because this shit'll fucking, it'll have you really in the trenches. I don't play. If you're in the danger zone, we're going to say it. If you're playing with lava, we're going to say it. I am for the village. Our people are too, we don't want to hear the truth. And when the truth is presented to, some of us don't want to hear the truth. And the ones that don't want to hear the truth, that's why I call you lily pads and Skeletor. Because a lily pad and a Skeletor wants this fuckery to keep going on. Lily pad and Skeletor are the nightmare nurse. And you don't need to be in the medical field. You need to get your ass out. You're only in it for status. You're only in it because you have some unhealed wounds. You're only in it because you vibrate low. Oh. But let me tell you about the real doctor. And his nurses. His nurses carry a sword. The real doctor sits high and looks low. He's the real healer. Ooh, he's the head of all principalities, and he is the king of Israel. He's a healer. Check it. I mean, like, literally. Check it. That's what he does. He was not able to walk this earth and not do his mission, and his mission was to help those in need. Heal. He healed all manner, and still does, of afflictions. Mental and physical. He didn't sit there and say, oh, you're just going to stay blind. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make you stay even more blind. Aha, I've got the power to help you, but what I'm going to really do is I'm not going to help you. I'm going to sit here and let you suffer. That ain't his character. That's not who he is. He doesn't resonate that foul odor that is emitting from some of you Skeletors and some of you lily pads. No, he was on a mission and he handled his business, and he's still handling his business, a true healer. So for you to be in the village and to be opposite of who we have been created by, I don't get it. You have no characteristics of the one who you sit there and say you believe in. Because for you to believe in him, you would not be a nightmare nurse. There would be no urban crime. There would be no who, what, when, where, why. We wouldn't have to talk about this shit, but we're talking about it. So I'm asking you today, if you are in the medical field and you are one of us, how is it that you are a nightmare? Well, we don't come from that. Some of you, nightmare nurses, have afflictions, and you've called on the Most High God for your healing. Let me explain something to you. You had laryngitis when you were calling out. You said what again? You were asking for what? Wait a minute. You've been a Tasmanian devil in these medical offices, in these hospitals, in these homes, and now you have received a diagnosis of cancer, and you want me to do what again? You want me to what? Heal you? For what? You don't remember that time when you had the opportunity to heal and you decided to kill? And you were asking me to do what again? Nah, this came your way as a reaping moment. You sowed this seed and now it's here. You're going to have to get it, because maybe then in this cancer you'll repent. Maybe it's in this affliction that you will change your ways, because for some reason you thought you went to Golgotha and resurrected on the third day with all power and sit high and look low, interceding on behalf of the people who I am the king of. So once again, this cancer that you have is for your good if you are choosing good now. You have definitely shown that bad was your master. But now that you are in this moment of affliction, do you choose good as your master? Or are you choosing to actually die as you are? Because I can't let you continue to go around terrorizing people when you're supposed to be healing people. And you have the power to do it, but you withhold that power. That's not like me. So how are you saying you're made in my image and likeness if you do not produce my likeness in the medical industry? In these homes where you are required to show my likeness through the healing power that you have learned and you are required to express to this patient. I don't do my patients like that. My patients like that. I don't do them like that. But these things that you are experiencing, they were destined to come your way the moment you decided to be a nightmare nurse, committing these crimes all around town, terrorizing people. You must not understand the prayers that I have heard from families who have been a victim of you being a nightmare. You are the residents of evil, and you know I don't rock like that. So I had to send this rock your way so you would understand, hard-headed, that you cannot continue to vibrate low when I sit high and look low. I don't sit low and look high. This is real deal. This is the realest. And this is a message that is for everyone who chooses to withhold the very power that someone needs for their healing. Are you a nightmare human? We can just throw out the nurse right now and just insert the nouns. Are you a nightmare human? Are you the type that sees somebody in need? And if you have it, and if you are in the permanent overflow where you know it is consistent for a long, long, long time, are you the type to withhold help that could heal somebody? And then when that person comes to you saying, I need help, help me, help me, help, do you laugh? Do you scoff? Do you hold a whole conference with 10 million questions about how did they get to the point that they needed help? Why are you afflicted? I never thought you would get afflicted. How could it be? You're so strong. I'm just surprised that you are afflicted the way you carry yourself. You would never think that you would ever need help. Those type of witches, those type of responses. Are you that type that when a test comes your way, you get an F every single time? A pop quiz. Get an emergency text message. Could you help me? I need a ride to the hospital, or this is going on, or that is going on. What type of nurse are you? Because let me explain something to you. To love your neighbor as yourself is to look after your neighbor, to care about your neighbor. Nurses care. So in some aspect, we are nurses. All of us are. If we choose to vibrate high, if we have empathy, if we answer our assignments and understand we're light workers, we're chosen, and that it is up to us to restore the village, heal the village, rejuvenate the village, give the village the IVs and the nutrients and liquids that it needs in order to be resuscitated. Because I'm telling you, there's a residence of evil in the village. And we are nurses. We are called to care. That's why we do what we do. And a lot of you may not like the way that it comes off, but we're not concerned about that. We're concerned about the healing. The objective is the healing. The antiseptic stings, but it's for your good. So there are some nurses who, in fact, are really patients. You're not a nurse. You're a patient in the village. And we, the light workers, are nurses. We're healers. And we're here to tell you that you're vibrating low, sis. You're vibrating low, brother. And what you're doing right now on the job is counterproductive to who you truly are. Now, some of you will change. Some of you won't. Some of you are going to stay Gargamel and Hagatha, Skeletor, Lilypad. Some of you are going to continue to be a bitch, a witch, miserable, evil, stank, no customer service. You get 0 stars, not even 1 star. You are the reason why they invented customer complaints. But there's some of you who realize that A, this isn't the industry for you. B, that you need to change and repent. That you need to literally stop what the fuck you're doing. You playing with people's lives, medication, signatures, assets, because you're a liability in the community. You are a predator in the community. You don't really care. And you're using the medical field as a beard because you know people need you. And they don't have time to be, some people don't have time to be questioning who's walking into the room, especially if they're already in a state of emergency. Now I got to sit here and pull out a clipboard and put on my Columbo hat while I'm sitting here bleeding, shot, or going through whatever I'm going through because this thing done walked into the room and is really a nightmare nurse because they went and studied at the Residence of Evil. Yeah, it's real in the field. You hear that button? You hear them. They're hitting the call button and you're sitting down on your phone and you won't get your ass up to go see what's wrong with Mr. Jenkins in room 5D. Get your ass up. You get your ass up any other time, especially when it's lunchtime. That's the only fucking time you move. Get your get your ass up and go and check on Mr. Jenkins in room 5D. Dummy. Ooh, Sister Speak, I mean that shit. I've seen this shit firsthand, y'all. I've seen the negligence firsthand. I know what I'm talking about. Get your ass up and go check on Mr. Jenkins in room 5D. And get your ass up and go do it now. Send this episode to all of your stank ass medical assistant, nursing, cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers. Send this episode to them for real, and let them know that the Most High God said tower, a tower moment. Ooh, a tower moment is coming. You think it's not? Huh? The Lord specializes in demons like you. A tower moment is coming because you won't stop. You're playing with people's lives. Sinister. Premeditated murder. A narcissist, sociopath, schizophrenic. Cruising around for their next victim at a hospital, a medical clinic, a home, looking for ads, answering these ads, responding to your request for in-home care. You have no idea who just responded to your ad, and they're coming. It's in the daytime that they'll be there, but they are, in fact, the nightmare nurse. Do your research, do your background checks, pay the money to get the full background check. You don't know who this person really is. They do. Their name is Wendy Johnson in Minnesota. In North Dakota, their name is Rachel Dennison. In California, their name is Lindsay Turner. In New Mexico, Haley Robinson. It's real. You never know who this is that's coming in to take your temperature, your high blood pressure, asking you questions. Will you be next? Will you allow the nightmare nurse to take care of you? Are you the nightmare nurse? Something doesn't sit well about you. Trust no man. There's a reason why. Take good care of yourselves, brothers and sisters. Eat right. Exercise. Get you good rest. Make sure that you are putting good things in your body. I want you to take extra good care of yourself. Do the spiritual cleansings. Do the spiritual baths. Please protect your energy. I don't want you to have to go to the hospital, and I don't want you to have to encounter the residents of evil, the nightmare nurse. Ooh, take very good care of yourselves. We'll be right back.
No weapon formed against you shall prosper. This is Sister Speak with a word of encouragement. No matter what the enemy or enemies try to do to you, God will cause their plans to take no effect, and the pit that they dig for you, they shall fall in. If God be for you, who can be against you? Now say it with me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Be encouraged.
The latest episode. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. I return to sender all black magic, voodoo, and spell work, all witchcraft. I'm divinely protected, and so is my listening audience. I reverse everything that you send to me, to you, boomerang,
with an adverse effect immediately in your bosom 100-fold. I'm gangster with it. Warriors, mount up and be encouraged.